I have to start this with something I find extremely annoying. Why is James Harden still in the NBA? The dude sucks fucking ass.
That is
off the rip. Here comes Doug.
I am
That
Doug.
is more-
Doug and Tug. We're the big dudes in the trenches. James Harden, get off the fucking court.
that is a more surprising start. Yeah, that's my point. That's a more surprising start than you talking about Formula One on Monday, because like everybody enjoys Formula One. Like that one's not completely out in left field. I feel like more and more people are getting fed up with the NBA's bullshit.
Yeah. Oh, it's
like
ass.
James Harden's still playing apparently.
Here's the thing: I haven't watched a single NBA game, like an entire NBA game, since 2016. I turned on the TV and the channel it was on was NBA basketball. I watched James Harden brick 2 shots and throw the ball out of bounds on a pass. And then I had to get away. I had to escape. The shit is awful. Oh my gosh.
I was like, Doug, there's Louisville is on. I have it on my TV.
I know. It's 14-0 at half. It's great. Go Cards.
Unfortunately,
with a blocked punt touchdown.
Cards, go.
I'm obligated by fandom to watch this disgusting mess of a game that's taking place in Chicago right now, where they're not playing on AstroTurf. Speaking of which,
good. Alternatively, you could watch Southern Miss take on the Raging Cajuns.
He told you, dude. It was in a contract he signed like before he was born.
But he's back on that. Obligated to Brett Favre since he is his son.
So here's the funny thing.
Everybody in Chicago is Brett Favre's and Aaron Rodgers' son.
Here's the thing. I was not a Bears fan as a child. I got sucked in by the greatest show on turf, and then when that team started to fall apart, I went back to my birthright of misery, and I've been there ever since.
Yeah, you always fall for the ones who suck you.
Look, the only thing that we know for sure is that as a Bears fan, you're entitled to Caleb Williams next year. It's gonna happen. As much as you have made it known on this podcast that would not please you.
As much as he's talked about wanting ownership and some of the other bullshit with him, I wouldn't be surprised if he just decides to stay in college because he don't want to go to a team as bad as fucking Chicago. I promise you that.
If he wants to own Chicago, he's better off just going to Green Bay.
He's better off running for office since the government owns the city anyway, as they control it via.
Is he that corrupt? Yeah, is he corrupt enough to run it though? I think that's.
Here's what I think is going to happen,
bro. If he's saying he wants,
Bears are going to be run by Jim Harbaugh and Caleb Williams for the next 20 years.
I would be impressed if Jim Harbaugh is able to get another job in coaching ever again.
And Bug, to answer your question of is he corrupt enough? If he's already demanding part ownership of a team and he's not even drafted, yes, I'm going to go with yes. You could get anything from that dude with money.
He's also just an idiot. So, I mean, that could be the answer to that.
More in the line, too, he's corrupt.
All right, this shit's unhinged as hell.
Is it corruptible if you're just not smart enough to know what the fuck's going on? Like, I don't know. I don't know.
Ignorance
I feel like that's just ignorance. I feel like it is for this. We're not trying him.
So there are games that are.
What a great podcast! So this is the week 11.
Oh, are we done already? Are we saying wow? What a great podcast already! It's over.
Yeah, so links.
You get the links at the end if we commit.
If we make it to the end, I don't even know if we're gonna get started.
Oh, this isn't the
end.
Right. Yeah.
What a
God! I missed you guys.
What a time.
It's only been a few days, but I missed you guys.
So here's how we do the previews and what we talk about for the reviews. It's what we've been doing the entire season. If you don't know by now, it means you're watching for the first time. So welcome.
And welcome.
This is the Big Dudes in the Trenches. And we talk about all kinds of games every week across all of Division I of college football, ranked versus ranked matchups, and rivalry matchups and some more games just because we feel like it. And then on the review shows, we add even more games to talk about because college football is the greatest sport ever invented in the history of inventing things.
And if you stick around long enough, we're going to start the show with some random stuff about some other random sport.
Who knows?
Probably eventually.
Literally make up what I'm going to talk about as we have the music playing that we're about to go live.
I actually believe you on that one.
It's very true.
Good, because that's what legitimately happens. I think that's pretty obvious.
Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and get started with the midweek maction that was taking place earlier this week that we had to pick on Monday night. This is Thursday as we're live on Twitch and on YouTube. Go check us out there. It's the best place to catch the show. If you're listening after the fact, what are you doing? Go catch us live somewhere. It's way better.
You can never predict the MAC. That's the only thing I know out of this. Every game is wild.
And sometimes you get blue balls.
They appeared separately. Oh my God, this was great.
So we all picked Northern Illinois to reclaim the bronze stock, but Ball State held on and we got blue balled.
We caught those fucking dodgeballs in the face. That's what happened.
The left one is slightly larger and lower, for the record.
As is tradition.
As it should be. They were red initially, and I just said, no, that's not right. That's not what happened.
20-17, though. It was a really fun game all throughout, if you're into that sort of thing, as we are around here.
Blue balls?
Not that, damn it.
I was going to say that clearly doesn't apply to Bug here.
Yeah. Anyway, next up, Central Michigan at Western Michigan. We had talked about it on Monday's show as being the second leg of the Michigan MAC Trophy. Potential for Western Michigan to take it over. Wes in the chat kindly reminded us it is also the victory cannon. I have it on the slides this time because, yes, the victory cannon is cool.
Because we take your feedback and we actually implement it.
I was the only one who picked the Broncos because y'all didn't have faith. And
look, I thought I used
both trophies.
Look, I was afraid because I thought I had used all my faith in them earlier this year against Eastern Michigan. But apparently the only two teams Michigan or Western Michigan can really play against is Central and Eastern. And
but
they
now
do
it is
official,
at least in the 2023 college football season, Western Michigan is the bestern Michigan. It's been
How long have you been sitting on that?
Literally 3 seconds.
He's on one.
Oh my God, this show is unhinged. I love it.
Last night, Bowling Green at Kent State. We all picked the Falcons to win the anniversary award and extend their winning streak and claim bowl eligibility, which they did all those things. 49-14. I turned this game on at the start. For the first, I don't know, 2 drives, it looked like Kent State was going to win this game. They were playing great defense. The offense was moving the ball. They stopped doing both of those things after that, and Bowling Green kicked their asses.
Unfortunately for Kent State, there are more than just 2 drives in football. In fact, there's 4 whole quarters.
Damn, that's crazy. Who came up with those rules?
Yeah, what the fuck? And guys got all kinds of sacks and stuff too. It's
not Kent State. Kent State did not come up with those rules.
Obviously,
or come up with the sacks. Oh man! So these games have been added to our overall records already, which you can see here. I do have
making up ground for last week.
A pretty comfortable 20-game lead over Bug, 24-point lead over Bug because of the bonuses. And I have like a 7.5-point lead over Tug. I'm cool with this. Let's continue the greatness, the dynasty that I will inevitably lose in bowl season, even though I'm up by 24.
You're not going to lose it. That's the problem. I haven't been able to keep you close enough.
It feels inevitable. You are Thanos. We have discussed this.
Let's move on.
We have to. Next up, the ranked versus ranked matchups of Week 11, starting us off at noon Eastern on ESPN Plus. A lot of games this weekend that we're going to be talking about are on ESPN Plus. This first one is no exception to that. South Dakota State at Youngstown State. One of 3 ranked versus ranked matchups in all of the FCS. All 3 of them are in the Missouri Valley. And we're going to start us off here with all of us taking the Jackrabbits.
Yeah, and this scares me at least just a little bit because this very well has the makings of a trap game. Youngstown State has played very well at home this year. South Dakota State has not looked like the same team on the road. They're still a good team. I'm not saying that, but they're definitely lacking something this year on the road versus when they play at home. This has the makings of a trap game. I do think South Dakota State just out-talents Youngstown State on just about every position, every side of the ball. I'm still taking the Jackrabbits, but I could see a path for Youngstown State here.
Yeah, absolutely. I got into the slides first once we got all of our games and stuff nailed down, and I went and threw South Dakota State on for everybody, and I didn't even look at who they were playing. I was like, "Oh, we're taking South Dakota State." So legitimately, I'll raise my hand. This is bad on me. I didn't realize they were playing Youngstown State. I agree with everything you just said, Tug. Aside from the trap game piece, but I do think if they're this is probably the second most likely game for them to lose after, and I say that after they just played North Dakota State, right? They just had a big rivalry game, and that's always a tough one. But we talk about South Dakota State not looking good on the road. North Dakota State just has not looked like the North Dakota State we've all come to know this year at all. So I would say this is another game that's primed to potentially be an upset.
Yeah, I agree with the sentiment there. I don't agree with the result that you're spitting, Bug. Youngstown State is not going to win this game.
I don't think so either.
It is what it is.
I have no issue taking South Dakota State, and I'm not even suggesting anybody should change it.
No. I just see the path. That for me, that's where it is I can see the path for Youngstown State.
Yeah, I don't even know that I see this as a trap game. Like, Youngstown State is a respected team, especially this season, all throughout the entirety of the season, the off season, even people were talking about them as a potential like bottom end of the playoff team.
Yep.
That seems to be exactly where they're at. The Jackrabbits are not going to overlook them. I don't see that happening. But next up, we head down to the Big Ten. Number 3, Michigan at number 10, Penn State, also at noon Eastern on Fox. I would personally love for Penn State to win this game. I am picking Michigan to win this game because if they win, I get a point. If they lose, I'm very happy.
Okay, so hear me out here. 1, Penn State's at home. 2, they're a really good team. But 3, we have all this stuff about Michigan stealing signs from all these teams. All the Big Ten opponents have caught them. Penn State is a good enough and smart enough program. I'm going to go ahead and say they've changed their signs for this week just to fuck with Michigan. And I think that's going to propel them just enough to keep this game close. And if Penn State can keep it close late in the game, I have Penn State taking this one.
I just don't know if Penn State's good enough to beat them, even with having the signs changing and all. Like there's no doubt in my mind that since this has come out that every team is intentionally changing their signs before they play Michigan.
Yep.
I don't know. It's tough too because going year to year, right? Like you can't. It's tough. It's tough to do in college, but I feel like Michigan's just been better than them in general, and I think they are again this year.
What is strange to me about this Penn State team, and the reason I'm actually relatively confident in picking the Wolverines here, is the disappearance of their run game over in Penn State. Last year they had 2,000-yard rushers, both freshmen. This year as sophomores, they don't look as good. I don't understand what happened. The offensive line is not worse than it was last year. If anything, it was a surprise that their star left tackle came back, and they should be more experienced, better at the offensive line, and they're just not producing on that side of the ball. I expect that the collection of talent up in the state up north is just going to be too much.
Like I said, this is one where I can see it for both teams. I'm also tired of Michigan winning games. If Michigan wins this game, I will gladly eat this loss, but I also want the bonus if Penn State pulls it out here. So I'm going to take the upside here.
I mean, I would be glad for you to eat an L as well.
You'd also be glad if I was right.
It's a win-win for Doug.
Exactly.
Like, he can't lose here.
Next up, a Sitting Bowl Trophy game. Number 10, North Dakota at number 6, South Dakota. This one is on ESPN Plus at 1 p.m. Eastern. I think, at least for me, I'm siding with the stronger defense in South Dakota. What's y'all's reasoning?
The stronger defense at home. North Dakota looks, I mean, they've looked great all season. But I still think, man, I can't really say that to every team that comes up that there's a tier gap, but I really want to say there's a tier gap again. I don't know. I do like the stronger defense at home. I like the way the Coyotes have looked. We'll stick with them.
I just love people in the comments throwing shade about you actually thinking that Michigan is worse than Penn State and that Penn State's a better team. That makes me happy.
It's crazy, Frog. Does it count?
Yes. One thing that I have brought up a lot, really, or at least I think it's a lot, is that there's these domes, especially in the FCS, seem like they have a much bigger, more impactful atmosphere than probably any other stadium in college football. And that's, I'd put that up against the Swamp, Death Valley, to take your pick which one, right? I'd put it up against some of these coliseums of football, and I got to give South Dakota a little bit of an edge there. Coming off a big win at Southern Illinois, coming into this one, a rivalry matchup, that I think they're ready and they're going to take this one. I wouldn't say easily, but this is going to be a huge game for them.
Bud confirms what we all know is true. Getting dome at home is the best.
Fair.
Sure.
Nothing to add there. Next up, third and final ranked matchup in the FCS this weekend. Number 11, Southern Illinois at number 12, North Dakota State. The Bison are coming off of a rivalry loss to South Dakota State. Southern Illinois is coming off of a couple of tough losses here in the Missouri Valley as of late. One of those to South Dakota State as well. So
the other to South Dakota.
Right. This feels like a much more even game than it's been in recent memory. I am excited to see what the Salukis can do. I know it's at North Dakota State. I don't know. It'd be fun.
I was going to say, Bug, what'd you just say about domes in the FCS?
Yep.
And then you got one of the biggest domes in the Fargo Dome. That place gets rocking. It's not even funny. I will take North Dakota State here coming off the rivalry loss. They want to correct the course. The Salukis are going to put up a good fight. This is not going to be an easy game. In fact, I'd probably go as far as say the Salukis are probably the better on-paper team this year anyway. But I think there's just a lot more for North Dakota State to fight for here at this moment. So I'm going to go with North Dakota State at home.
The last time SIU was in a situation like this, where they were playing for their playoff lives with games in the season still left to go, it was against Cole Kelly and Southeastern Louisiana in that spring season in 2021. Mm-hmm. I think Nick Hill is the guy that you want coaching your team when your back's against the wall, and I do think he's going to be able to get SIU ready for this game and get them in that playoff mindset. They have to win out, and it starts with a very good opponent and a very tough place to play, but I think he's going to have them ready.
It's also the second week in a row. SIU is a one difference in the seed, like the two seeds in the ranked matchup are next to each other. I think last week it was 9-10, and this week it's 11-12. I love it.
The return of Big Dick Nick. Let's go.
Nick 9 inches.
Yeah. Next up, heading over to the Pac-12, number 18, Utah, at number 5, Washington. We are all picking the Huskies.
Have the Huskies clinched their Pac-12 championship berth yet, or is that based on this game?
Probably based on this game.
If they win this game, they lock it?
I would believe so. I can't think of a scenario where that wouldn't be true. So,
I mean, they're 6-0 in
Going with
conference
that.
right now. It has to be true.
I mean, yeah, with
3 games remaining.
Yeah.
I can't help but think maybe we're making a mistake, but at the same time, I think Utah they've exhausted everything that they had, and what's left is a team that's not. I mean, let's face it, this team is not what everybody was hoping and thought they would be to start the year, and they're really starting to look like backups.
Well, because they are, and that's okay.
Right. I'm not saying it should be a surprise. I'm not saying that these guys are starters or should have been starters. I'm saying that's just the hand they've been dealt, and the fact that they played as well as they did at the start of the year says a lot about the coaching there.
Yep.
And it says a lot about the future of the program too.
What scares me about this game and us going with all Washington is Utah is just one of those teams. You never know which way it's going to go. It never makes sense. At least this year, that's how they are. So that's what scares me about this game. But I'm still going to take the Huskies at home.
I do want to shout out Virginia real quick before we move on. They just hit a 69-yard pass.
Nice.
All right, moving on here. Tennessee at Missouri, number 13 at number 14 here in the SEC on CBS. And Bug taking the unconventional route like I tried to do not that long ago. What do you think in taking Memphis in this matchup where Memphis is not playing?
Yeah, I've had a couple opportunities to throw this in here, but this one was probably the best one I was going to get. Look, Memphis is playing Charlotte, and of all the teams that were added to the American Athletic Conference, I think Charlotte has gone and had this weird I thought they would be better, and they've been the one that's kind of disappointed me the most. So I'm really looking forward to seeing Memphis do work in Charlotte. This program has been building, but it's just I think they might have gone to a bigger and better conference a little bit too early. So it is unfortunate for the 49ers. And it makes
believe in Biff Poggi?
No, it's a beautiful name, and I think he will get there. He was able to, help this program build from what they were. They were FCS not too terribly long ago. And he had them looking respectable last year. Just the level of opponents that they're playing now in the American, maybe he wasn't ready for. Maybe the program wasn't ready for. But I think he'll get them there. I have faith that he will get the 49ers there. It's just this is going to be Memphis' win, and I guess I'm taking Memphis, the Tigers, the team with the M, the team with the Tigers. I'm not taking Tennessee, so I guess you can count this as a pick for Missouri.
I like what Missouri's been doing this year. I actually think they're a really good team. They're better than I had expected. I know they're ranked because they're in the SEC, and it just means more. But I especially like Missouri at home here, so I'm gonna stick with Missouri.
Yeah, and I believe that Missouri is slightly overrated, as is Georgia with how close they played them. And I think Tennessee is just a little bit better than that. I know that might sound crazy right now. We will see if that holds true when Tennessee and Georgia meet later. Looking forward to that.
That's the third Saturday in November?
Probably. But I actually like what Tennessee's offense has been putting together here recently. And it feels like Missouri's offense has been falling basically ever since week 3. So that's kind of what I'm banking on.
Hold on. Let me ask something real quick.
Sure.
If and I'll let you guys decide because I do firmly believe this. The north end zone is like cursed for Mizzou. So,
Okay.
if they go towards the north end zone in the first quarter, they will go that way in the third quarter, correct?
Yeah.
If they go towards the north end zone in the first quarter, I'll take Mizzou because they won't have to finish the game going that direction. But if they go towards the south end zone, meaning they'll have the north end zone for the fourth quarter, I'm taking Tennessee, if you will allow it.
You know what this means?
A conditional pick of sorts.
No, it means you have to watch this game.
I only have to watch
the first play.
One play of the fourth quarter. Or first quarter. First quarter.
Well, either one, I guess.
Yeah. One play of any of the quarters, and we'll have this figured out.
The fact that it's forcing you to tune in to two of your least favorite teams of all time, I'm in. I'm all in.
You know the fucked up thing? I could have gotten free tickets to this game, but I saw that email and sent it straight to my delete folder. Like I read, I didn't even open it. I saw Missouri, Tennessee tickets, and I said, "Fuck
Unreal."
this.
You didn't forward it to me. What is wrong with you? Come on.
You're going to Marshall this weekend. You were already booked.
I would have changed plans. It can happen. All right, next up, we're talking about Ole Miss at Georgia. Another SEC game down here. Number 10 at number 2.
I'm looking for every reason to pick against Georgia. I just will not do it at home.
Pretty much.
That's if this were in Ole Miss, I'm taking Ole Miss. It's not, so I can't.
We do have the added off-field distraction of a $40 million lawsuit against Lane Kiffin going on right now, which is, I don't know, Lane Kiffin
surprising. Yeah.
So
they knew this would happen. Like,
so I'm taking Georgia. It's the safe pick. I'm aware.
That's fair. Move it.
All right, moving right along to the rivalry games. We only have one of these on Friday night, which is the Safeway Bowl, North Texas at SMU. Now, the Mean Green looked pretty mean and pretty green last year, but have looked significantly less mean and, I don't know, equally green this year. But SMU is playing very well, especially when they got into conference play, as SMU tends to do. They might very well fall off in the month of November, as they also tend to do. But we're all picking the Mustangs here in the Safeway Bowl.
How much did Safeway pay for naming rights to this one rivalry game?
I would say at least $1.
That's probably fair. I can't
probably enough that SMU gets a little bit of relief for paying their way into the Big 12.
Ooh, ACC.
ACC.
Who fucking cares?
They didn't even get in the one that they belong in.
Yeah, they literally bought their way in because they are a private university and can. So
they didn't just buy their way in; they took it out on credit too. Hey, man, we'll pay this off over 9 years
and take no money from you.
Yeah. What a decision.
I wonder how that's going to affect them paying their players.
Oh.
It probably means the death sentence to that program. Paying players. Ooh. All right.
Oh God.
That was 2 on the nose. I gotta work on that one. Anyway, next up here, part 2 of the Big 3. Yale at Princeton is this weekend, noon, on ESPNU. This is on national network television.
So what are we going to be protesting at halftime or during the first quarter or at any point during the game? What's the over-under on the protest?
Narwhal Lives Matter.
I mean, do you want the real answer?
We all
okay.
Yeah, no, it's going to be free Palestine. It's going to be a free Palestine. Yeah,
okay.
we know. Yeah. It's probably, but I hope it's narwhals. My money goes on narwhals.
I now want narwhals. I didn't, but now I do.
I'm basically taking the home team here. I'm also taking the team who got a major upset in this rivalry already.
That's exactly what my thought was, is, hey, I'm going to take Princeton because Princeton apparently only prepped for the season for these 2 games.
Which, if you're Princeton, I respect
I'm with it. Yep.
Yeah. But you're picking Yale, Bug. What are you thinking with this one?
They have a better record, probably have a better team.
They do. Those are both facts.
Yeah.
But then again, so does Harvard.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. My knowledge of the Ivy League kind of starts and ends with Harvard, and that's about it. They're the only one.
Go to the playoff.
They've just consistently had a good team, and I don't know. I think the program there is just better. We'll talk about them in a minute.
Consistently since like the 1870s. You are not wrong.
We're in Ivy League conference play, so therefore there's going to be at least like 5 rivalry games a week now.
Exactly. Yes. We have a couple more on this slide. But before we get to there, Georgia Tech at Clemson, also at noon. This one on ABC is an even numbered game for Georgia Tech. That means they will win this game. It is written.
I
remember you mentioning that.
Now that you say it, I do too. I'm sticking with Clemson here. Georgia Tech's pulled out some weird stuff, but Clemson's trying to get bowl eligibility here. Georgia Tech is too. They're both sitting at 5-4, but I think Clemson just wants a little bit more right now to save a little bit of face. They're coming out. They're going to play a little bit harder.
Yeah, but how sweet would it be to remind people that this rivalry exists than by this being the week that Georgia Tech reclaims bowl eligibility?
Be funny.
And we got Crazy Frog in the chat too, saying throw me in for Georgia Tech over Clemson. I'm not going to change my pick, but I do like I do like the logic here, the even number game thing. I'm looking at Clemson though. Dabo Swinney, he looks like he's got this team cooking. He brought them out with a different mindset, different get after it this past week, and they dominated Notre Dame. I'm interested to see how long he can keep that going and if he can keep it going against Georgia Tech.
Wow. Louisville just missed a 35-yard field goal.
Nice.
College kickers going to kick. Not well, but they're going to kick.
Yeah, they're going to pound sand after this. All right. Penn at number 24. Harvard is the next Ivy League rivalry we got on.
Hey, there's that team.
Ooh, we're all going
Harvard.
To Princeton. Their only loss in the season was to Princeton. We'll see. Maybe Penn can knock them off too. The Ivy League does weird things to itself.
Can we say that?
Yep.
We're going to talk about another Ivy League game here next, but I just had a thought, like, if you get a concussion, like, how fucked are you? Because there's no way you're doing your schoolwork. Like, you can't think straight.
You become you get credit for being the study for the medical schools at the Ivy Leagues.
Interesting.
There's a thought.
Probably true.
Or
anyway,
they force you to transfer
to another Ivy League.
Dartmouth. All of them send their offshoots to Dartmouth. So this is Cornell at Dartmouth, which is another Ivy League rivalry because, of course,
they all hate each other.
I, once again, hit my patented method of flipping a coin. And I landed on Cornell, and we're going with it. Let's go big red,
when I didn't
baby.
know what to pick, I took Dartmouth. They've actually had a better season than
I
expected.
You do love the big D's.
No?
You put a big D on the slide. How much you love them.
He got you there. I'm just saying, he's got you there.
I hate you guys.
We know.
My Ivy League school spell out PhD.
And for that reason, I'm not even going to try to back you up because I took Dartmouth too. I also
There's
like the
no
big
backup.
D
This is a coin toss game, so I took the home team.
I mean, okay.
My favorite color is green.
Fair enough.
My favorite color is chrome.
Chrome domes?
Yeah.
No.
Let's go.
I'm with you though. This is a coin toss game. I like green. Apparently, I like Big D, just because, and John likes Big D too, so it's fine. We're together in this.
Well, y'all can love huge D's together.
D's nuts. Got him.
All right. Next
At least
up,
somebody gets to win a game this weekend.
that is very true. One of them is required to win because there are no ties in college football anymore. Wofford at the Citadel, battle of 0-9 teams. Also, the battle for the Big Dog Trophy. We all know which way Tug is going with this one because he hates the Citadel. This is an established fact.
I just love that we get to keep bringing. We get to keep bringing up senior military academies on the show. It makes me so happy.
So one of us is going to take Wofford. It's going to be Tug. I'm going with the Citadel because they're the home team. And also, it's the team that Tug wasn't going to pick.
That's not even why I didn't pick them.
You didn't pick them because you can't stand the fact that they exist. We know it.
No, I didn't pick them because I had already seen that Bug took the Citadel. So I was like, well, hey, might as well be different.
You're just a hater of the Citadel. It's okay to admit it. It's not okay to be a hater. It's okay to admit it.
Who would you take in a game between the Citadel and VMI? Would you take Air Force? Would you talk about the Blue Falcons?
No, I'd probably take VMI there.
No,
you guys can already predict it. There is a game that has a rivalry that we will be talking about that I will take Air Force, even though they're not in that game.
No, I'm going to make you take the Merchant Marine Academy.
Fair enough.
The Coast Guard Academy.
Well, they're Division 2 or Division 3. They don't count.
So's
the Grizzlies.
Merchant Marine Academy.
Hey, don't tell Tyson Bagent Division 2 doesn't count.
Exactly. He's sucking against the Panthers
I
right now.
was just gonna say he's not doing anything to prove me wrong.
It's not like Bryce Young's doing anything to prove that D1's better.
Oh my gosh, Virginia sucks so bad.
They
keep getting down to the red zone and throwing interceptions. All right, moving along here.
In the red zone?
Not usually for a good offense. All right, next up here. Tobacco Road. We revisit the Tobacco Road here. NC State at Wake Forest. I've been taking NC State religiously the past several times that we've had an NC State game. I didn't feel like taking them this time. So I took Wake Forest. That's legitimately my reasoning for this. I had enough of picking NC State to win games.
So here's my thought here. Based on everything you've told me this year, this game is on the CW.
Which means it's going to get weird. That does not mean NC State's going to win. It means it's going to be weird.
It's going to get weird. Agreed. But you know who has also somehow found their way to win most of those CW games?
They are undefeated on the CW. NC State, yes. I am aware.
Also, how does NC State keep ending up on the CW? Like, is that a contract specifically for them?
I think they just love Dave Doran. At this point, that has to be the answer, right?
Dude, get Dave Doran in the Arrowverse, please.
We got to move on.
Next up, Pitt at Syracuse. Last I saw Syracuse play, they were without their main guy at quarterback, and the backup threw 4 interceptions. This time I'm hoping that either Garrett Schrader actually plays or the backup doesn't throw 4 interceptions. Either one of those scenarios, Syracuse should win this game is what I'm betting on. And they're at home. I'm going with the Orange. Let's go.
I got to know why you want to go with Pitt, because
they're a weird team this year. They lose all the games they should. They lose all the games they should win, and they've won the 2 games they absolutely should have not won, to include beating Louisville. I'm gonna take Pitt, obviously, because I don't know how to predict them, and I don't think this game is as solid. I don't think Syracuse is that much better that it warranted a clean slate pick here.
Fair.
I mean, their other win is against Wofford. I don't know if we can really call that a game Pitt shouldn't have won.
Fair enough.
I think maybe you could.
All right, next up here, Miami of Florida up against number 4 Florida State in the Florida Cup game. Now,
can we just talk about that the game is called the Florida Cup and you still felt the need to clarify that it was Miami, Florida and not Miami of Ohio?
I will do that every time we talk about a Miami. It is baked into my nature as a former resident of the great state of Ohio. Miami, Ohio, and Miami, Florida need to be separated by the 2-letter distinction every time, all the
time.
time.
As Bowling for Soup once said, there's nothing wrong with Ohio except for the snow and the rain.
Well, that is why we have so many astronauts and presidents. Something about being born in Ohio just makes you want to leave it. So we're all picking Florida State in this one. There is still an outside shot that Jordan Travis could be in the Heisman conversation. Feels like he isn't getting talked about too much as of late, but with some huge games down the stretch of the season, he very well could find himself with an invitation to New York or wherever the Heisman ceremony is anymore. Who even knows? Feel like it's probably still New York. Why not?
Why not? I think too. I don't think Mike Norvell is going to let them lose this game. I don't think Mike Norvell is going to let Florida State lose all year. I think he is the X factor on this team, and it's really beautiful to see just how well coached they are and what they've been able to accomplish this year.
Yeah, definitely. Tug had to drop off, but he also picked Florida State. I'm sure he agreed with every one of the words that you said, Bug, without any arguments at all, because that's how Tug works every time.
100%. He's all about agreeing with everything I say. Moving on.
That's the best part about having Tug on the show is that he always agrees with everything Bug says word for word.
I heard you guys all talk shit.
So moving on, before you can add anything, we're going to go to the next slide of rivalry matchups here. Number 7, Texas at TCU. We are all picking the Longhorns. Quinn Ewers is back.
Yeah, there it is. Better than Malik Murphy.
TCU dropped a game to Texas Tech that, while Texas Tech certainly outperformed them, that it shouldn't have been a game for Texas Tech to win. TCU lost way too much, and it's becoming more and more apparent just how much they lost and how different this team is this year.
TCU's defense is not good. Texas's offense is very good. There's the game.
Interesting analysis. We'll see how that plays out. Next up, Florida at number 19, LSU. We are all taking the high-powered offense and low-powered defense of LSU against the low-powered everything of the Florida Gators.
Look, Florida can't play against the SEC West this year, confirmed, so I'm going to take the SEC West team.
Florida refuses to play most weeks. They happen to stumble into 5 wins.
And they almost stumbled into 6, but there was another SEC team that we all love on this show that said no.
The Virginia Cavaliers did not throw an interception in the red zone. They did so by running the football.
That is insane. I've never heard of such a thing. Can you explain the concept to me?
No.
How would you possibly run with a ball in your hands? My goodness. Next up,
another dual trophy.
Another Tobacco Road game this week. And we also have the victory bell up for grabs. Duke at number 24, North Carolina. We are all picking the Tar Heels because I forced Tug to pick the Tar Heels.
Yes, we did. We did bully Tug into taking the Tar Heels.
You'll see why as we continue.
I really do like the way Duke matches up here. I also see the path for North Carolina if they come out and play their game and don't play like they did against Virginia. It's that simple. If you play any better than that, they have a good chance of winning this game.
That is a pretty good strategy. Play better than you did the time that you lost. I love that.
Against a winless team.
I'm going to write that one down.
Good.
Next up.
I'll put that right next to pass the puck before you get hit.
Oh, my God. That pissed me off that night. That was... Oof.
Fresno State at San Jose State. The battle for the Valley Cup. 8:30 p.m. Eastern on CBS Sports Network. The Bulldogs at the Spartans. We are all taking the Fresno State Bulldogs, which is a little bit scary to me. I got to say, I actually do like San Jose's offense, and I have for a couple of years now. What the coaching staff down there has done has been incredible. San Jose State has never been worth anything, and now all of a sudden they're always in contention for a bowl game at least. But Fresno State just feels kind of unstoppable in that division. I know it's not divisions anymore in the Mountain West, but they used to be division foes, and I still consider them like that. So
they're very familiar opponents.
Yeah, I think that's the correct way to say that.
I think 2 years ago too, we might have all gone the opposite direction with this too, right? I mean, I think that's a fair,
correct,
a fair thing to make. That and Fresno State's always been a team that hangs around and has a fairly good team. They do have a season like this every 5 or so years where they're pretty fucking unbeatable, and this just happens to be one of those years. Yeah, I think it's pretty. It would not make sense for any of us to take San Jose State, even with some of the positives on their team right now.
And last but not least, for the rivalry matchups of the weekend, we have to talk about Air Force. I know it's Tug's favorite thing after last week, but Air Force is back.
Fumble the ball. That is the key to victory. Usually you have 3 of them.
Here's the best part.
I'm still salty. Yes.
Well, yeah, that's amazing. The second best part is that none of us are going to be able to watch it because it's on Spectrum pay-per-view. If you know a way to watch it, please put it in the comments, message us on Discord, something.
All of a sudden, we all start pulling up CFB streams.
Yeah, we're going to, I mean, yeah, that's probably what's going to end up happening.
It has to.
And this is 11 p.m. Eastern, just for everybody to be sure on that one, not 11 a.m. That's why it's at the bottom here.
That would be like a 5 a.m. game in Hawaii. That'd be brutal.
I wouldn't put it past them. Hawaii is insane.
Jesus. But that does mean we are at the end of all of our rivalries because at least it wasn't 11:59. That was pretty funny when they did that 2 weeks ago.
Right.
It has to be played on Saturday.
Yep.
Fine, 11:59. You son of a bitch.
So with that, it's time to pick my games and what games I'm taking a look at. And I'm starting off with 3-6 Temple taking on 4-5 USF. You can catch this game at noon Eastern on ESPN Plus. We're all going with the Bulls, but the reason I want to watch this one, I love Kurt Warner, and his son EJ is playing as quarterback for the Temple Owls. And Byron Brown impressed the hell out of me. Quentin Flowers, if you're out there, if you're watching and you want to come back on the show and talk about the guy that very well might take your spot as best quarterback at USF in USF Bulls history, I'd love to talk to you about it because watching him really reminded me of how Quentin Flowers played. And this USF team, it's easy to see why they almost beat Alabama. And I'm going to be completely honest, they're going to be a very, very scary football team next year and for the next 2 or 3 years.
I look at this, and for me, you got 2 teams. One is about to be eliminated from bowl eligibility if they lose. One's fighting to continue to go to a bowl game. Here's my thing. When I look at USF, that looks like a bowl team this year, a low-level bowl, but they look like a bowl team. This is their chance to come out and prove it, and I think they do. They get to 5-5. So I'm gonna take the Bulls here.
The Bulls to go to a bowl.
Yep.
Nice.
Also,
how dare you say low-level bowl games? There's no such thing. All bowl games are great.
All bowl games are created equal. Some are just more equal than others. Next up.
Exactly.
We have Tennessee State taking on Eastern Illinois, a battle of 6-3 teams. 1 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Plus for this one as well. Guys, I'm going to be honest. I feel like it's going to be a pretty close game. And if either of these teams wants a shot at going to the playoffs at the FCS level, they have to get a win here. This is a massive game for both teams, and this is going to be this will be probably the statement game for both of them to be able to put a feather in and pin it and say, this is the game you need to look at. This is why we deserve to be in the playoffs.
So for me, this comes down to very much the same reason why I took Central Michigan. So for you, Bug, this looks pretty good for you. I think I've worn out all my magic this year taking Eastern Illinois. I can't keep putting the money into that pony. So I'm going to put my money on a different pony right now.
On a Tiger.
Last time you used that logic, you lost.
I know.
I really wish I took Eastern Illinois now. But I took Tennessee State. I love Eddie George. That's all I have. Literally the only reason I took this Tennessee State team this week.
Reason.
I actually do think that Eastern Illinois has looked better most of this season than what Tennessee State has done. The offense is surprisingly effective. And for Eastern Illinois, that is, and they're at home. So that does scare me. I purely took Tennessee State out of kind of rooting for them because of Eddie George.
And before we get going, just to, talk about Division II football a little bit more, Tyson Bagent is outperforming Bryce Young through the first half. Anyway, last but not least, we have Oklahoma State taking on UCF. UCF, who got their first conference win against fellow new member Cincinnati last week. UCF took Oklahoma to the brink, and it should come as no surprise to everybody that Oklahoma has dropped 2 straight after that one. And Oklahoma State's coming off a big win in the last ever allegedly Bedlam matchup. It's going to be a lot of emotions, and a lot of emotional letdown for these 2 teams. But I can't take UCF for contract reasons. So I'm going with the Pokes, and I would love to see the Cowboys pull this one out and really start messing things up in the Big 12 this year.
The last time you used that logic, quite literally last week about a team beating Oklahoma and then having an emotional letdown, it didn't really pan out with Kansas. I don't really foresee that happening. Oklahoma State is a better team all around than UCF. I'm going to take Oklahoma State.
Here is my exact reasoning for this pick. Hear me out. This is some WWE level math, all right?
Steiner math?
If yes. If we compare UCF to Oklahoma, apparently Oklahoma's 2 points better. If we compare Oklahoma State to Oklahoma, apparently Oklahoma State's 3 points better. That's 5 points. You know what beats 5 points? A random ass touchdown, which UCF always seems to be good for. Every game this year is one random ass touchdown that they didn't deserve. So I'm picking the Knights to get that random ass touchdown and win by 2. If they win by 2, I call double points.
Calling his shot. So if UCF loses, is it double negative?
No.
Can you triple stamp a double stamp?
I don't know what that means in this context.
And the best part is he's been here for the whole context.
Here's the other thing that's messing me up right now. Virginia caught an interception instead of throwing one, and now it's 14-all.
Correct.
What the fuck?
And they just got a sack.
I only have one of those. How do they have multiple?
Something about this Virginia team going on the road and playing top 11 opponents is just unreal right now.
I am not a fan of the Cavaliers. That's what I have to say about that. Now, for my games of the weekend, starting us off in the Patriot League, Fordham at number 25, Lafayette. Lafayette has been a pleasant surprise, outperforming what most people expected from them, including us here, the big dudes in the trenches. And Fordham it took a couple of weeks for them to catch on with a new quarterback, a couple of new pieces on defense at key positions. but they really seem to have put it together as of late. I am going with the more traditional Patriot League power here in Fordham, even though Lafayette has been a fun story. And it really wouldn't surprise me if the home team can pull this out. I get where you're coming from, Tug.
Well, just look at that. Look at that logo. It looks like a preschooler drew it. I'm down with it.
That is a very detailed and photographically accurate leopard.
I'm with you though, Doug, honestly. Fordham's hit their stride. They've been the team that we thought, projected, and hoped they would have been to start the season. They've finally become that team, and that makes them more appealing to me at this time for sure.
Next up, homecoming for the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers. They are playing New Mexico State in Bowling Green, Kentucky. I am going with
How come you went with the quarterback? Like, why didn't you go with the lineman?
The lineman. Oh, you had the lineman.
I only found a PNG of the quarterback.
Oh, okay.
And he's cute as hell. So
fair. You're not wrong.
I did also think of the Bug strategy of taking a game that I knew what y'all were going to pick. At least I knew what Bug was going to take in this game.
Yep.
But I've also had this game circled for basically the entire season. Looking forward to this one. I wanted to take it anyway. New Mexico State has been an incredible story. This is the first time they've been bowl eligible in back-to-back seasons since the 1960s. Jerry Kill is doing things almost unprecedented in New Mexico State history. He's clearing all kinds of contract bonuses, which if you're in the Discord, you saw how laughably low those bonuses are. But
because of how bad this fucking program's been. And that speaks volumes for what Jerry Kill has brought to the table and what he's been able to do for this program. I can't say enough positive about what he's done and who he is as a man. I am so happy for him.
But here's my other thinking with this and why I'm taking Western Kentucky. This is homecoming. It is in Western Kentucky's stadium in Bowling Green, Kentucky. They are fighting for bowl eligibility still. New Mexico State just cleared that hurdle. Western Kentucky needs this game very badly. I expect them to be firing on all cylinders here, and I'm rooting hard for the Tops.
No,
I hate it, but I don't blame you.
And next up, all these games are on ESPN Plus, by the way. Crazy. But next up for me is UC Davis at Idaho State. I finally get to pick Idaho State in a real matchup that they're actually playing in. Here's the other crazy part. This is father versus son. I believe his name is Don Hawkins. It's either Don or Dan. I legitimately don't remember what vowel it is at the moment. Either way, he's the head coach at UC Davis. He was the head coach at Colorado when his son Cody Hawkins was the quarterback at Colorado. Now Cody Hawkins is the head coach at Idaho State. Father versus son, very exciting. In a dome, in the big sky. Surprisingly, a legitimate battle in the big sky. Like both these teams don't seem to have great records, but Idaho State's 3-3 in the big sky. So like they're actual players in this league at the moment, even though they're 3-6 overall. I'm taking the dome team at home. Idaho State, son bests the father. What a storyline game this is.
Can I derail your storyline here? Because this is insane what just happened in Virginia Louisville. 3rd and 27, Virginia runs the ball. Louisville gets the fumble. Virginia picks it up and scores.
That makes no sense.
Louisville forced the fumble. They didn't get the fumble. Virginia picks it up off the turf and scores.
That makes more sense. Thank you.
Yeah, I knew it as I said. I was like, wait a minute. Wild play. Actually, on a sadder note, I think that running back that fumbled the ball is down. He did catch a hit to the head. Yeah, they got the card out there pretty quick. So before I start talking negative on that, let's
pivot back to UC Davis, Idaho State.
Yeah. Quick
I'm taking Hey, Doug, fuck you and picking UCF. I agree. Thank you, Frog. Thank you for being on my side. But I'm taking UC Davis because they have not let me down recently, and I'm going to go with the hot hand here, so to speak.
Understandable.
Actually, sorry, that comment from Crazy Frog makes me ask a very important question to him. I need to know if he's watching this game. If he's watching Oklahoma State, UCF, that might change my pick because we have had conversations, and if he watches those games, Oklahoma State loses.
It would be a very you thing to change your pick.
Yes, it would. Sure would.
All right. Getting back to my slide, though, I'm taking what is a pivotal Mountain West matchup here. I feel like I always pick the Mountain West, but let's be honest, I'm most familiar with those teams anyway. As much as I hate them, I'm taking the Junior Pokes, Wyoming, traveling to UNLV to take on the Rebels here. Friday night, 10:45 Eastern on FS1. Wyoming's coming in 6-3. I think they have one or two losses in conference. UNLV is 7-2 with one loss in conference. This is a massive matchup if both of these teams want to stay in the hunt for the Mountain West Championship game. I'm taking UNLV at home. What they've done with that program has been absolutely fantastic. I've been a little bit slower in the train than you guys have been, but I see the light now, and also fuck Wyoming.
You just had to be different, taking a Friday night game. It's not against the rules. I can't stop you, but you just had to be different.
I saw the game and I knew I needed to take that game, and then I saw that it was not Thursday, and I was like, that's it.
I don't blame you. No, if this game were in Wyoming, I would be taking the Cowboys. But it's
correct. That's probably where I'm at.
We all would. Yeah, this would be completely flipped if it was in Wyoming.
Yep.
My second one is my second attempt this year at a Sickos game. I am also taking a pair of winless teams that play in the Missouri Valley, but frankly, they might have better. Yeah, they might have better luck in other conferences. This is equivalent. These two teams are the Vanderbilt of the Missouri Valley. Just I don't know their academics. Probably not as smart.
Tug, without looking it up, can you tell me what the mascot, not the mascot, but the team is for Western Illinois, what they are?
For some reason, I'm vaguely thinking of a tree. I don't know why.
No, that's Indiana State is the Sycamores. It says it on their logo.
Right.
What is Western Illinois?
Oh, I didn't even see that. Oh, fuck. I had seen it earlier, too. They're not the Bulldogs.
Correct.
They are not the Bulldogs.
Correct. They're not the Bulldogs. Oh, it was something funny and stupid, too. I forget. I did look it up, but I forget.
Crazy Frog is right. It is the Leathernecks.
That's it. Oh, so we're taking the Marines here.
Yes.
I mean, y'all are.
Yeah. So I've got Western Illinois at Indiana State, 1 p.m. Eastern on ESPN+. 0-9 versus 0-9. Somebody has to come out of this game with a win. I'm going to go and take the Leathernecks here. Doug, you're going with the Sycamores. What you seeing here?
I'm seeing a team that has sucked fucking ass all year in Western Illinois against a team who has played it extremely close in multiple games this year in just losing efforts. 3-point loss, 2-point loss, single touchdown loss for Indiana State this season against some really good Missouri Valley competition. They seem like a legitimate contender in a lot of these games. And they're at home against definitely not the Marine Corps, because the Leathernecks are leaving the Missouri Valley and going to the OVC Big South next year because they can't handle the Missouri Valley Conference. They're retreating, unlike the Marine Corps would. Fucking Western Illinois can't stand the heat. Get out of the fucking kitchen. The Sycamores are cooking at home this weekend.
I know that both teams are winless, but I don't think you understand just how fucking bad Indiana State has been at football for a while.
I appreciate that, but I don't think you understand how bad Western Illinois has been at football for a while.
Fair.
All right, for my final game, I also can't stay away from the Fun Belt. It's been, fun this year. And Appalachian State is one of those teams that is a wild team to take. You never know what's going to happen when they step on the field. Appalachian State's traveling down to Georgia State, take on the Panthers here, 2 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Plus. I'm going with Appalachian State. They tend to pull out weird results. The only thing what would make the weirdest game ever is an Appalachian State game on the CW. I think that's why it's contractually not allowed.
Do you imagine App State, NC State on the CW?
Oh my God.
Jeez.
Make that happen. Somebody who has power, make that a thing.
The first 400-point game in college football history.
I'm taking
18 overtimes.
I'm taking Appalachian State here. I totally understand why you guys are going Georgia State. These guys are also in the hunt, both of them, for a Sun Belt championship berth. I'm going to take Mountaineers.
Yeah, Georgia State has been the better team this year at home. And they're at home, I meant to say. Appalachian State is always competitive, but on the road here, I'm gonna trust the Panthers a little bit more.
Look, that stadium, I don't even know what it's called now, Center Park Stadium. That was a good football stadium when it was still Turner Field, and they were, before they fully did the reconstruction. It was a great atmosphere, and it's only gotten better. Georgia State's at one point was having the best season in school history, and still having a very good season right now. So I'm going to ride with them here. I think that's probably just the easiest, smartest thing to do.
Honorary game of the week before we get to the prospect preview. I want to shout out Georgia Southern at Marshall, also in the Fun Belt. The game I will be at this weekend should be very exciting. Two other teams who are in contention, although Marshall's slipping away in the hunt for a Fun Belt title game appearance, assuming that JMU doesn't get bowl instated. We'll see.
Yeah, here's hoping that happens. They wrote a formal petition. If you want to go read it, go check out our Discord. Link's been scrolling across the bottom. Tug's going to read it out later.
I will not read the Discord link. It'll be linked in the description below.
No, you're gonna read the entire JMU letter. Let's go.
You guys don't want me to read.
That is true. Next up, the prospect preview series, where I take one offensive and one defensive player who have been performing pretty well, in my opinion, at least this season, and deserve a little bit of recognition. I'm starting off with an offensive lineman from Georgia. Xavier Truss was the highest rated high school football player in Rhode Island's history. And he went to Georgia and has played 4 of the 5 positions across the offensive line and has done so to varying degrees of success.
You know what's wild?
Sure, go ahead.
He fit in the state.
I know. That is insane.
Massive.
6'7" dude has no business being in Rhode Island. That is...
He probably drove a smart car too. So like he was just, he just liked being in tight spaces. So he said, you know what, I'll get a smart car.
That's like a Marlin in a can of anchovies. Just does not fit.
Luckily, he fits in his uniform pretty nicely. It looks like they got him one big enough. I also
hope so.
I love so much that it's the blacks with the dog collar.
Yep,
right.
My favorite Georgia uniform.
That's the Peach Bowl uniform when they played Cincinnati.
Beautiful. And they almost lost that game. Would not have been his fault, though.
That is correct. Because that was one of his best seasons. It appears that he's best on the left side of the offensive line. Other than maybe a couple of hiccups last year at left guard, most of this season has been at left guard as well. Trying him out at right tackle didn't seem to go that well. 6'7". I would expect him to play tackle eventually. Just Georgia has enough players around 6'7" that they can fit him wherever on the offensive line and hope that makes it work.
Can you imagine 6'7" playing, like pulling guard just coming down on you.
No, stop. I'm scared.
I don't
You're
want
not even
any
playing.
dudes coming down on me. Woo,
So to speak.
no, thank you. Yeah, okay, moving on, I guess.
Now we can go back. What else we want to talk about? What else we want to say?
I guess nothing after you said he's coming down on me. Jeez. Oh, man. All right. Tug, you said that TCU's defense sucks. I would contend that Josh Newton is not a part of that conversation.
That's fair. I will grant you that.
He has been really solid. And this is a little bit of a break in prospect preview policy. He's not considered to be like a day 3 guy. Right now, he's projected to be potentially second rounder, but he is slow. So I want to see how this technique really plays out on the field. And Texas has a couple of really solid receivers on the outside. If Josh Newton can shut them down, even at a projected 4.6 40, then maybe I'm okay with that. But if it is legitimately a 4.6 40 and he can't, for some reason, disrupt the passes anyway, well, then that becomes not a second round guy very quickly. So his stats are great. I just want to see him actually play. I have watched the TCU game already this season, but I haven't honed in on Josh Newton. So I want to focus on this guy and really check out his abilities.
I'll tell you what I like when I'm looking at this. It looks weird this year because his completion percentage allowed has gone up from last year, but he is well under pace and under touchdowns for all his previous years. So what does that mean? It means he's not necessarily attacking the ball as much. He's keeping the play in front of him, and he's allowing the catches, but he's getting the tackle, keeping the play small. That's absolutely huge in the maturity of a cornerback.
So it does mean that, and I agree with that assessment. But also, if you look at his tackle numbers, they're also like a little bit down.
Yeah, so he's not being targeted as much.
He's not getting targeted as much, which is another really good sign for a corner.
Yep.
But with Quinn Ewers back, with the receiving talent that Texas has, I expect they're going to attack whoever's out there anyway. Doesn't matter who you are. Could be fucking Marshawn Lattimore and I don't know, Jair Alexander, and they probably still try to throw it deep. So
I tell you what, though. Normally, when you have a cornerback like this, you put him on the number 1. You say, hey, stay on him. I'm not putting a guy with projected 4.6 speed on Xavier Worthy. That's a recipe for disaster.
I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
That's where you say, hey, go play safety for a game and help me over the top. We're going to give you a 20-yard head start.
This is also his second year at TCU, spent his first couple of years at Louisiana Monroe. He's only gotten better with better competition. So excited to see what he can do this weekend against potentially the best competition he's ever played against.
Fair.
But with that does it, man. I'm all out of random bullshit to say.
You wasted it all at the beginning.
Wow, what a great podcast.
I'm lying, by the way. I could think of way more, but I'm going to leave it there.
All right, well, before Bug gives us his dad joke of the week, let me read some links off. We have, as always, our patreon.com/btfootball, x.com/btfootball, facebook.com/btfootball, instagram.com/BDT_football. I didn't forget it this time. Twitch.tv/bigdudesinthetrenches, youtube.com/@bigdudesinthetrenches, bdtfootball.com, mailbox@bdtfootball.com. And we, as always, have our Discord in all of these, and that will be linked in the description below.
Yeah. Thank you. I wish you would have read the Discord link, but I understand. It's fine. You aren't as excited as we are about Discord.
Mm-hmm.
Before I get to my obligation, my dad joke here, I got some news today that most people would be upset about. I am not. And it's a weird place to be. But with that, I do recognize most people would be upset to get the news I got today. So if you have loved ones that you don't get to see very much, hold them close, give them a call, tell them you love them. But that was not the situation for me. So to lighten the mood a little bit, 6 was afraid of 7 because 7 ate 9. But why did 7 eat 9?
Because 9 was registered 6 offender.
Wow. Because you're supposed to eat 3 squared meals a day.
Okay.
Wow.
My answer was more fun.
Wow. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's clearly all the time we have on the show today. Bug, pull Doug off before this gets any worse.
Wow.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is all the time we have on the show today. Thank you for watching and or listening. And just remember, you can't win a game if you can't win in the trenches.